Good evening, Zimbabwe, Africa, and the entire global village watching from every corner of the world where democracy is treated as more than a suggestion and courts actually enforce their own judgments. Tonight, the political pot is boiling, the security apparatus is buzzing, and the state is behaving like a man trying to stop a flood with a teaspoon. The fight over Mnangagwa's 2030 ambition has ripped open fractures so deep that even the CCC factions, which already multiply faster than WhatsApp groups, are now splitting over whether to defend the constitution or to politely look away while ZANU-PF stretches it like old elastic. In Bulawayo, the Chavangu-aligned CCC camp has gone full reality show mode after provincial chair Tamsanga Ncube got shown the door for committing the unforgivable sin of defending the constitution. His crime? Signing a Concord application demanding ZANU-PF stop its 2030 push. Apparently, the faction that claimed to restore order now can't tolerate anyone who actually tries to uphold legality. He was replaced by Dingilizwe Chuma, who promptly defected to ZANU-PF because in Zimbabwean politics, betrayal is not a risk, it is a career path. And while CCC structures fight like siblings in the backseat of a combi, ZANU-PF is quietly engineering a constitutional heist using its parliamentary majority, desperate to avoid a referendum because they know Zimbabweans would reject the 2030 snake oil faster than a pasta selling miracle airtime. Meanwhile, the crackdown is widening like a pothole in a rainy season. Police camped outside the home of Constitutional Defense Forum member and her former Harare mayor Herbert Gomba. This follows an earlier siege at Tendai Biti's law chambers where riot police surrounded the offices as if Biti hides nuclear weapons behind his legal files. Biti himself says state is targeting him for rejecting authoritarianism, something ZANU-PF hates as much as transparent elections. Add to the petrol bombing of Sapes Trust just hours before an opposition briefing, and the message is clear. Mnangagwa's 2030 agenda isn't a political proposal anymore. It's a security operation. And if you think the intimidation stops at borders, wait until you hear this next part. Job Sikhala, fresh from more courtroom drama than an American legal series, now says the explosives found in his Pretoria car were planted as part of a plot to assassinate him. According to Sikhala, the cartridges under his seat could have exploded anytime, a detail so chilling that even skeptics paused. He insists the whole stunt was engineered to silence him before the 2030 agenda is forced through. Remember, this is the same Sikhala who previously survived 500 days of pre-trial detention and walked out without a single conviction, meaning the state's obsession with him is beginning to resemble a stalking case. Before we continue, Zimwaves family, drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you think all these arrests, bombs, and intimidation tactics are connected to the 2030 agenda? Type yes if you see the pattern, or no if you think Zimbabwe is just performing its usual political acrobatics. Your engagement boosts independent journalism, so type away. Back to the big story. While the opposition bends, the courts themselves are being dragged into the twilight zone. In the US $7 million GOAT scandal case, businessmen Mike Chimombe and Moses Mpofu tried to demand a written conviction judgment, hoping to use it for appeal. Justice Kwenda wasn't having it, pushing their matter to sentencing as per new guidelines. For a duo who allegedly defrauded a presidential GOAT scheme, the request for written reasons felt like GOATs asking for feedback forms. And yet, even with gossip and scandals, the state still finds some time to ignore the courts completely. In Makuti, the ZRP simply refused to release 2 impounded vehicles even when the High Court ordered them to. Even when the deputy sheriff showed up with a writ. The police basically said, "Court order? Cool story." Lawyers from Piri and Partners say this is no longer just contempt, it's a full-blown constitutional crisis. When the police decide which judgments to obey, rule of law becomes optional, like car indicators in Harare traffic. Across the border, Tanzania's new president reshuffled her cabinet, naming a new finance minister after a disputed election marred by deadly clashes. In the Democratic Republic of the Congo, the government and M23 rebels signed yet another peace framework. This time in Qatar, but with a history of agreements being broken faster than promises made during elections, nobody is holding their breath. Ethiopia confirmed 3 deaths from a Marburg virus outbreak, with more suspected, while South Korea proposed talks with North Korea to avoid border clashes after repeated MDL incursions. Because in some countries, even historic enemies still manage to communicate better than Zimbabwe's ruling party and the opposition. Meanwhile, President Mnangagwa is being praised by Joanne V of Africa leader NB Makururu, who claims Mnangagwa has a diplomatic calling, drawing African presidents and billionaires to Harare. According to Makururu, Dangote and Hichilema's visits reflect Mnangagwa's visionary leadership. Strangely, Makururu did not explain why investors and presidents leave the same day they arrive, as if the State House visit is a drive-through window. But to the church leader, Mnangagwa is attracting miracles and unity. Zimbabweans, however, are still waiting for their miracle, preferably one that stabilizes the currency longer than a loaf of bread stays fresh. On the health front, malaria has killed 3 and infected over 1,000 people in 1 week, reminding us that the real enemies, climate shifts, slow public health responses, and neglected provincial hospitals remain dangerously active. The government's vector control measures are ongoing, but experts say outbreaks are fueled by artisanal mining, gold panning, and shifting rains. Zimbabweans continue to face diseases the same way they face politics, hoping the next week is kinder than the last. Globally, chaos reigns. The BBC is preparing to fight President Donald Trump's potential $5 billion defamation lawsuit over an edited documentary clip from 2021. They insist they did nothing defamatory and note that Trump literally went on to win the election, so reputational harm might be tough to argue. Ukraine signed a letter of intent with France to obtain 100 Rafale jets over 10 years, calling it the foundation of a future world-class air defense. And in football heartbreak, Nigeria is out of the 2026 World Cup after a chaotic qualifying campaign filled with managerial changes, player protests, and a penalty shootout disaster. And that brings us to the climax of the day's political opera. Zimbabwe's path to 2030 looks less like a roadmap and more like a maze designed by someone who hates people. Triple C factions are imploding. Courts are being tested. Police are camping at critics' houses. Activists are scared. And the ruling party is fast-tracking constitutional changes instead of fixing the economy. Hospitals, agriculture, or perhaps most urgent, the roads that keep absorbing combis like the earth is hungry. Yet, through all this, Zimbabweans remain alert, vocal, and defiantly observant. The countdown to 2030 isn't just a political debate. It's a national test of whether power can override law or whether the constitution still means something in a country that fought a liberation war precisely to escape lifelong presidencies. If tonight's stories shook you, informed you, or confirmed what you already suspected, make sure you hit subscribe and smash that like and ring the bell so you never miss another Zimwaves scathing news. Independent voices survive because you keep them alive. Stay loud, stay informed, and stay ready.